Good evening. My name is Mike Wickers. I'm the mayor of Cottonwood Heights. I'm acting actually today as the chair of the Community Development and Renewal Agency. And this is the CDRA business meeting for today, Tuesday, January 21st. As mayor, I serve, like I said, as the chair, and with the members of the city council serve as the members of the board. We only have a single item of business this evening, and that is item 2.0, consideration of resolution 2025-02, electing officers and appointing staff. So I'm going to turn the time over to our city manager, Jared Gerber, and let him explain what's happening.
Thank you. This is just we did have a change in the secretary and the assistant secretary positions, but this is also an annual renewal that we try to do for the CDRA each year. Just appointing the officers of the CDRA. So as chairman, we have Michael T. Wickers, vice chairman Sean E. Newell, chief executive officer Jared Gerber, and then secretary will be Tiffany Jansen, assistant secretary Barbara Higgins, and treasurer Scott Jurgis. So again, just the annual renewal and then reappointment of officers.
Great. Questions or comments from the council? Not seeing any, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-02, electing officers and appointing staff.
I'll make that motion to approve resolution 2025-02.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Highland. Final questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Councilmember Holton is not online, is that correct? Okay. Okay, we'll start with Councilmember Highland.
Yes.
Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Okay, real quickly, the approval, the process for approving the minutes will be the following. The agency secretary will circulate a draft copy of the minutes to the board members, who then will have 3 business days to provide any proposed corrections to the secretary. The secretary will then circulate a revised draft of the minutes to the board members, and the same review process will continue until such time as no corrections to the minutes are received within the 3 business days review period, whereupon that draft of the minutes will be deemed approved and will become the final minutes of the meeting. Could I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn the CDRA.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. 9 p.m. Okay, good evening. My name is Mike Wickers, Mayor of Cottonwood Heights, and this is the Cottonwood Heights City Council Business Meeting for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. The first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked our city manager, Jared Gerber, if he would lead us in that effort.
To the flag, States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jared. Item 4 on our agenda today is City Council Committee reports. Once a month, we give the City Council 3 minutes each to give us an update on what they're working on, some of the initiatives that are important to them. So we're going to start today with Council Member Suzanne Highland from District 2.
Thank you. Had an emergency management committee meeting today, and always grateful for the preparedness and the readiness that our city would have if we do have an emergency. We're reminded of that because of some catastrophes that we've had, and recently the hurricanes and now those fires. So the good news is it's quiet on the city front, and that's the way emergency management likes it. We're happy for that. I also wanted to let everyone know that we have canceled the CERT training that was supposed to start in January because of lack of interest. And I don't know if we can say lack of interest. Maybe there's just been so many CERT trainings around the county that we hope that there's plenty of people who are ready to go. That is an important training. It was pretty eye-opening for me when I went through it. So they'll offer that again, but not starting in January. I'm still working with the Committee on Short-Term Rentals. We are scheduled to have a couple of demos from software compliance companies who could help us identify short-term rentals in our city and also work with us on increasing compliance with our existing ordinances. There will be a town hall on February 25th at 6 p.m. here in the community room, open to all residents to come and put to talk to us about what they want to see done in the city with short-term rentals. And so we look forward to that. That's all I have for today.
Thank you, Councilmember Highland. From District 3, Councilmember Sean Newell.
This January is usually a quiet month for most of my committees, but I've got a few things to report on. One is the Arts Council. As you see, there's a display out here, arts display for the Chinese New Year. We also have a celebration this Saturday on the 25th, with a Chinese celebration here at City Hall. Can't remember the time. I think it starts at noon, 10 to noon. So that's something that I think would be really incredible for folks to get to take a look at and experience if you have the time. Another committee that I'm on is the Canyon School Foundation. A couple of different things are going to be happening here in the next little while from the foundation. We will celebrate the Teacher of the Year for Canyons District in April, on April 15th, actually. And then we'll have also a fun run in May. So those that are energized and want to get out and run with some of our educators here in Canyon District, that's a great opportunity. The 25th of March is the gala and it's really a fundraiser for scholarships for the Canyon School District as well. And I believe that anybody can still purchase a table or to purchase tickets to that. It is a great event. It's something that is to be seen, especially watching the young people that are generally, young people that are in need receiving these scholarships. And it's phenomenal to be a part of that. I belong to the South Valley Chamber as well and serve on their board as an ex officio, I said it right, I think, member. And we don't have any really activities coming up right now, but I just wanted to remind our businesses that we have a great opportunity through Cottonwood Heights City to become a member of the South Valley Chamber. And I think you'll find some great value in the networking events, the training events, and some of the other courses and things that they offer. They're actually offering a chamber champion I think it's called Chamber Champion right now, where you actually go through different areas of the South Valley and see different types of businesses, different types of industries, and get to learn more of the backdoor operations of some of the great companies that we have here in the state of Utah, and especially here in the Wasatch Front. And that will be my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Newell. From Council District 4, Councilmember Ellen Burrell.
Well, it's not lost on any of us as we watch the LA fires roar. And so for all constituents within Cottonwood Heights, I want you to know that your council works and staff of the city work closely with the UFA and the police department, emergency management, and in many capacities to look out for residents of Cottonwood Heights related to fire danger. And it's something that I've had constituents contact me lately, especially for those of us that live in wildland interface, the way that we do in District 4. So that is in motion. Also, another timely element is the challenges on snow mornings. I was actually out of town, but a few weeks ago, of course, there was a closure in Little Cottonwood Canyon that put a really severe impact on our residential roads, even beyond Wasatch Boulevard. Some residents weren't able to get to their house. I want you to know that the police department is actively communicating with the Waze app people to have them not route cars on alternative routes such as Danish Road. And so there are measures being taken to try to reduce the impact on again, these certain snow mornings, especially when the canyons close for avalanche danger or other reasons. I want you to know, as far as the Association for Municipal councils that I participate in, we're getting our 2025 season up and running, and I'll be meeting once a month with a council member, 1 or 2 council members from several of the other cities around Salt Lake County. And it's a great opportunity to kind of compare notes and bring back information to the council. Also, I'm a liaison with the Youth City Council, and we'll be having a big day tomorrow. There's one of the council members there that I will be meeting at 7:30 tomorrow morning. We're going to take UTA bus route 200 up to the Capitol building, and we'll meet up not only with the other YCC members, but it's legislative days, so we'll be interacting with legislators at the Capitol and having a luncheon at the Salt Palace. Also, I represent the city on the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee and the Subcommittee on Active Transportation. And I can tell you those people are really working hard to look out for all of our interests, again, when it comes to the Parks, Trails, and Open Space and in matters pertaining to the use of active transportation to get around our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Burrell. Just a couple things from me real quick. So I serve as a board member for Unified Fire Authority. For the past couple of years, I've served as the chair of that board. It's usually a two-year term. They've asked me to stay on for another 6 months. So I'm going to go till July, continuing to serve as the chair of that organization for that board. I just wanted to say I've had the chance to learn all that they do in the name of public safety, and I'm grateful for the services they provide for Cottonwood Heights, and I'm grateful for everyone in that organization that works hard to be ready to respond to emergencies. If you didn't know or pay attention, 8 members from Unified Fire went out to Los Angeles to help fight fires along with other firefighters from around the country, that are from around the West Coast anyway, to help try to get those devastating fires under control, which I understand are pretty close to completely contained now. But I think we can feel a sense of pride as a city that our fire authority helped a city that was in dire need. You heard Councilmember Burrell talk about the legislative session that starts today. If you've listened to me at all, you know it's my least favorite day of the year. So we have 6 or 7 weeks to be in constant stress and worry about what bills might be proposed and eventually even passed. And so we work diligently with the Utah League of Cities. We have 2 paid lobbyists for the city to look out for our interests. And I can't tell you how important it is, because you'd be shocked at the number of bills that get presented that would hurt cities and municipalities if we didn't have people paying attention, getting involved, and talking to legislators to make changes or to completely scrap bills that are disadvantageous to our municipality. So my recommendation is to please pay attention as a citizenry to what you hear on the news and what bills are being proposed, and express your voice to our legislators. We can help you know who those are, but it's a time to be vigilant and to pay attention. And I want you to know that your city is doing that. The last thing I'm going to say is so I also serve on the board for the Salt Lake County Health Department. That is a 3-year appointment, and I serve as the board gets one Salt Lake County mayor to serve on that board. My appointment is also up in the next couple months, and I'm going to end up serving it through the end of the June. We had our the executive director, Dorothy Adams, come and present to us during a work session. And the purpose for their visit was to come and let us know all of the things that they do, that they want our citizens, our staff to be aware of, so that we can make sure that we're taking advantage of their services. And I just wanted to read you kind of some of the things that they do. Their mission statement says they work every day to prevent illness, injury, and disease, while addressing social, economic, and environmental factors that impact overall health. That their efforts include immunizing children, inspecting restaurants, preventing tobacco access to minors, encouraging physical activity and proper nutrition, protecting our water and air, providing cultural appropriate services, and collaborating with our community partners to ensure public health works for everyone in Salt Lake County. Thank you. We are now going to move on to item number 5 on our agenda, which is a citizen comment period. And I am going to forego our explanation because I know these those are the submitted cards. So the first card that I have for this evening is Maggie Mills. Hi, Maggie.
How are y'all doing?
Great.
Thanks for letting me pop in and tell you about some of the things that are coming up at the library. As usual, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, we have our preschool programming. There's a variety of things for families there. And chess club for all ages on Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock is a newer thing. It was just for kids, and now it's for everybody. So come by and relearn, learn for the first time, or just brush up and get better at your chess playing skills. So that's it for now. I'll be back in a couple weeks. Thanks.
Thank you, Maggie. I love it. Thank you. And can I ask, Jared, are we using our social media to let people know of the activities that the library offers?
I'm not sure, but I will find out.
Could you find out? And I would love to help
Oh,
them.
okay. Maggie says we are.
We are.
Oh, no, we'll get together. Okay.
Okay.
We're not. We might be. I don't know. We will talk.
If not,
yes.
we're going to. So
We'll
how's that,
definitely
Maggie?
share that.
Thank you. Great. The next comment card I have is for Elaine Greaves. Hi, Elaine.
I've been here before, but I'm a resident of District 1, but actually tonight I'm representing over 300 people that have signed a petition regarding removal of the no parking 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. provision at Hillside Plaza. At the meeting on December 3rd, when I first brought this up, I was told I would be contacted by someone from the city to answer my questions and kind of help me out, and that hasn't happened. So that's why I'm here again tonight. What we would like to know is how, why, and who created this policy of towing cars that are there between 2 and 6. It's really targeted, we feel, against patrons of the Huddle. If you haven't been to the Huddle, it's a nice little neighborhood sports bar, and they do serve non-alcoholic drinks. They have great food, and they would be one of the businesses where possibly a patron would leave their car. But one of the real problems is this policy came into effect without anyone knowing about it. It wasn't requested by business owners. I've talked to them. They didn't even know it was going to happen until the signs appeared. And so how did this come about? Before the city bought the property, it was not like that. If someone needed to leave a car overnight and be responsible, it was fine. It's not like there's 20, 30 cars being left. It's maybe occasionally 1 or 2. And it really penalizes people for being responsible. If they feel they shouldn't be driving and leave their car, then it's towed. And it's not just a slap on the wrist. As an example, I talked to someone that had his car towed. The company that is doing it is based in Provo. You have to retrieve your car from Provo. He had to take the day off work to get down and find someone that was willing to drive him to Provo to retrieve his car. And the fee was $500 cash only. They won't accept credit. And part of the fee concerns mileage. So why was this company chosen from Provo? It just increases the fee even more when you're charged mileage. So, and if the provision can't be removed, we'd like to know why you don't feel it should be. And also, if this is the wrong process to go about this, if you could let us know how to go about it. Because it's really, you're discouraging people from being responsible and encouraging them to drive impaired. Because when you're impaired, you're not in the best frame of mind anyway, and you think, well, $500 or try and sneak by and drive. What are they going to choose? Not the $500. So I'd just like to conclude that we would request that one provision be removed. So if someone needs to leave their car, they can.
Thank you, Elaine. And let me apologize that somebody did not get back with you, and I will take it upon me to make sure that somebody does this time.
And
for
I
sure.
did
So,
turn in the petitions for you to see.
Okay.
There's over 300 signatures.
thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, Runar Bowman. Hi, Runar.
Good evening. Council, Mayor. I'd like to talk about pedestrian roadway safety. You know, it's been we've been talking about this recently in council meetings and what have you, and it's kind of a relevant topic, especially with the recent fatality on Wasatch Boulevard and earlier on Fort Union Boulevard. And I know both those roads well, and I frequent those areas where those accidents happened. And because I ride the bus and I also ride the ski bus, so I know those areas well in the evening hours. And I can say, as a matter of fact, that those areas are really dark. There's no light whatsoever, and which is, that's roadways get dark at night. You know, that's not uncommon. But if you're asking pedestrians to utilize those roadways and encourage them in the future with, bike, roll, walk, whatever you want these people to do along roadways, you're also guessing that they're going to do the right thing and cross at signals and push the crossing buttons, which in the case of these two individuals, apparently they did not do, unfortunately. And from what I can understand, the motorists that were involved never saw these individuals until it was too late. And the commonality here is that it was dark and those people were not visible. And, we could talk about, reducing speeds and doing all these other things, but at the end of the day, that means you have to enforce them, or you have to have, you're relying on human behavior, which isn't always predictable, as we know. And the thing that might be obvious to me is, at least, is that, lighting, is that light the roadways, not just one light above the signal, but the whole roadway, just light it. And that goes for, Wasatch Boulevard, that goes for Fort Union, that goes for Bengal, that goes for Highland, that goes for 2300. They're all really dark roads. And if we want our people out there walking and, they don't make a good decision, bad things happen. And since we're doing all this development here in our city, where, these new developments we have in mind, and we're going to be altering our roadways and what have you, I would hope that we could maybe spend some resources on lighting, so it takes out the human error or the human decision out of the situation, and just makes these roads safer for everybody. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, Runar. I'll actually just to add real quickly to that. So I, in the last few months, went to all of our schools, our elementary schools and junior high and high school. And the purpose of my visit was I utilized the announcement system to talk to kids. And my purpose was to let them know that pedestrians actually play a role in pedestrian safety. And what I wanted to get through to them was, just because you step into a crosswalk, that should mean that you're safe. But if you don't walk into it, making sure that cars make eye contact with you and that they're slowing down and stopping first, you're taking your life into your hands. The pedestrian can do a lot. And so my whole purpose was to tell them to wear bright clothing when it's dark, and to never cross when, to do all of the things. I went through about 10 or 11 different things that they could do. And so, we want our roads to be as safe as possible, but we also want our pedestrians to do everything in their power to not take unneeded chances. And there's lots of things that they can do. So I do appreciate that aspect, Runar. So with that, I'm going to close the citizen comment period. We have two quarterly reports scheduled for this evening. So the first one that we have scheduled is our police department report. And I don't see, I do see Candy. Okay, there we go. So it looks like we're going to have our support services manager, Candy Terry, and who knows, Chief Russo might, you never know when he'll add something, right?
I think, as Councilman No would say, I just got voluntold.
No. I don't volunteer him. Right, where? Here? Oh, right there. So just this. Hit that, and then do share. Enter.
Instead of sharing that, will share the whole screen.
Sorry, getting set up. Okay, so we have the December 2024 stat report for the police department. For December, we had 1,312 calls for service, and then we had 325 on-view calls for officers. For calls for service by district, District 1 had 480, District 2 had 184, District 3 was 320, and District 4 was 181. Our December response times, priority 1, a total average was 500, I apologize, I'm a little tired, 5 minutes and 25 seconds. Priority 2 was 6:27, and priority 3 was 9:54. However, our officer arrival time, as you can see, they are much lower, which is right where we like the officers to be.
Can I ask you a question, Chief? Is 2 minutes, so it looks like there's about a 2-minute gap that it takes once they connect with dispatch to get that communicated to you all. Is that common? Can that get any better? That seems like a lot of time and maybe each instance is different, but what do you think?
Yeah, that's actually, if you remember, that's come down a lot.
Yeah.
One time it was 3 times that number, and we were able to get that interrogation time down, which is what you're talking about. And what that is when you dial the 911 and operator or call taker answers the call and starts entering the information into the system. So I mean, just intuitively, you think about how long it would take to talk to the person and get information, enter it, and I don't know that that's bad. VEC as a whole monitors this and has to meet standards and guidelines, and they're well within their tolerance. So 2 minutes is.
Do they have to enter an entire thing and then hit submit, or as they are entering, are they seeing it over in our department?
No, that's actually a really good question. So once they start entering the address, if you'll recall, whenever you call 911, the first thing they say is, what is the address of your emergency? And we do that so that we can put that into the system, and so that the person taking the call, then it goes to the dispatcher, they can start routing units as needed. But it just takes a minute to get the person in. Remember, they're excited and emotional. You have to calm them down and identify what's happening and where. And sometimes you have to repeat the question several times. So just that, human element takes a minute to navigate sometimes. So I have to compliment them. They are really actually doing a good job with this. The 6 minutes, not so much, but we've got that down to where it's tolerable.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, here is our overall crime for December. We did have 14 assaults, 3 burglaries, 38 thefts, and 2 stolen autos. We did have 46 arrests for December and 3 juvenile arrests. We did receive the total statistics for the year of 2024. I did put this in here just so you can kind of see where Cottonwood Heights does compare to other cities in the valley that are comparative to us. And for the year of 2024, we had 432 bookings into the Salt Lake County Jail. And for other agencies, you can see we had more.
That's kind of small. Can you read it? Because we're actually very proud of this. Candy, I'll give you some numbers.
Yeah, give us some numbers because we can.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if you would provide this in advance of the council meeting. That'd be real helpful. 'Cause I can't read that.
So Draper had 384. Harriman PD had 155. Riverton had 151. And South Jordan, who is extremely larger than us, had 426. So again, we had more bookings than all of those agencies.
So we can take that a couple of ways. We're either more diligent in finding the people that are committing crimes, or we have a crime problem bigger than other cities. And I doubt that's not number
No,
2.
and I knew you were going to go there. No, we are more diligent. And the takeaway there is, if you commit a crime in Cottonwood Heights, you are going to go to jail.
Yeah.
And notice, I mean, we're proud of that. Put Harriman and Riverton together, we still outdid them. And That says a lot. And, you know, I mean, they're taking these dangerous people off the road and they're putting them in jail and they're solving crimes. And I could not be more proud of that stat. It's really reflective. of
Do we
what they
keep statistics of how many people that commit a crime in our city live in our city?
I think we could probably extract that. I don't know that we have the software to do that, but
I don't have the software right now, or I probably have it, but we're just in the process of trying to learn it. So.
Great.
Here are our traffic.
I'm sorry, let me back up. Would you like us to start gathering
I
that?
mean,
That's
that'd
actually a
that'd
good
be an
question.
interesting statistic to me. If
I think I know the answer to that. And I
what do you
think you
think
do
it
too.
is?
But how about we quantify that
Okay.
for you? Okay?
Traffic citations, we had 258 and 276 warnings. And we just had one DUI last month.
I'm sorry, can you go back?
Yeah.
There's two different lines. What are the two different lines?
So
Or three, I guess.
The warnings are the 276. So we issued more
Oh, the mine has the
warnings
warnings, okay.
than we did regular citations.
I actually love that we issued a lot of warnings,
Mhm.
more than we did citations.
Yes, we did last month.
And that's, I think, unique to us. Most agencies, you'll see a very different separation in the number. So that's the direction we were given. So that's what they did.
Great.
Mhm. Citations by district. District 1 was 192, District 2, 91, District 3, 143, and District 4, 32. Okay, this is our citation for the last 6 months, and I included the 2023 stats and the 2024 stats. You can see kind of where our traffic unit has come into play with where we were in 2023 compared to 2024. So this is the graph. So you can just see that our numbers were definitely a little lower in 2023. When we started the traffic unit, numbers definitely went up.
I think we're a little lower this month, are we not? And I think that's because we were doing all the traffic enforcement at the mouth. And so
Correct.
the staff was up there instead of writing tickets on the roadway.
Correct. Accidents, we did have 30 property damage, 4 injury, and then we did have the 1 fatal this month. Here's our 3-month in review for September, October, and November. Animal control, their calls for service totaled 61. And then they did issue 4 animal control or animal citations. No code enforcement citations this month, but they did help with traffic enforcement and they did issue 18 citations.
Are those animal control calls staying pretty steady or are they still kind of going up?
They're staying pretty steady. What you'll see is that the code enforcement, and I'm combining the two, in the winter, they don't do as much of that. They could, but it would be different. It's not the problems in the yards and the businesses. It's the cars on the street that remain there when Matt's trying to remove snow. And so, but normally those same people are either off on the weekends or they're tied up on other calls. So we can't dispatch them to remove those. Normally it would be code enforcement that does that, but the numbers stay pretty consistent. I mean, there's obviously an uptick every year, but there are only 2 people. They're busy all the time.
That's why I'm asking, still wondering if it's still a kind of the pandemic spike of everybody getting animals. And so you have just a lot more, or is it leveling off?
Oh, no, we have a lot.
Oh, great. Okay.
Unfortunately, dogs are getting dropped off at the park or behind Target or it's awful. We had 2 puppies just last week that were just abandoned. So.
Thank you.
We did have 3 attended deaths and 4 unattended last month.
And that's December, right?
Yes.
And so unfortunately, that coincides with the holidays and normally there's an uptick in those unattended deaths, which
Attended is just a hospice type situation
Yeah,
at home
they've
with the
seen a
doctor.
doctor in the last 30 days and we know what it is, or there's health issues, that kind of thing. So, or the aging, expected. The unattended have to go to the medical examiner, for various reasons. We don't know the cause, or it's a gunshot wound or something. And so we have to have them, they have to find a cause and, or we can release the body.
Okay, here are our property crime reports for December. You see District 1 is always the hot topic.
Is the hot spot there at the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon because you are registering crime related to vehicular crime? I don't understand why the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon would have such a high crime.
Those are vehicle break-ins. So yeah,
Oh, vehicle break-ins at the parking.
yeah, at the park and ride.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the heat maps are a little deceiving because they show our stats. Those numbers really aren't high. I mean, if you were to compare it to other areas, crime rates of that, they would all be very, that would not be red. But yeah, we do get cars and, in the summer, it's the trailheads. They know you're going, and if you park your car there, and they all leave their laptop on the front seat right next to their purse, and so the windows come out. And same thing happens with the skiers, so.
District 1. District 2. 3. And there's your District 4. Okay, and then here is a map of all the citations that were issued. You can see they're hitting it all over the city. Okay. Yesterday, we did have the honor of attending the NAACP luncheon, and 2 of our officers were awarded with a First Responder Award, Officer Taylor and Officer Gainey. And so thank you to everyone who attended. It was very nice, and we appreciate the support for our officers.
It is, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was so thrilled to be at that event, and it was wonderful to be there to see your officers get those awards. Could we get their full names? And I wanted to send them a card, and I will
get that.
thank you, Candy. Thank you.
It is a nice event, and this particular, most of you know what they got the award for, but they were working the University of Utah football game, and they were in the tailgate area when a gentleman went down with a heart attack, and he was not breathing or responsive or had heartbeats. They began CPR, and they were trying to get the AED down there, but it's hard to get medical there, and it's crowded. You've been there and you've seen the scene. So they're providing CPR for 15 minutes or so, which is a long time because you get fatigued in doing those compressions. I don't care what kind of shape you're in, and these are big, strong officers, but they got him in the ambulance, and the families there, they're watching the whole thing, and then you have bystanders who are intoxicated, who aren't helpful but think they are, and so you're dealing with all that. And but they were successful, and the man lived, and he was reunited with the family, and I got some nice cards from the family recognizing them. But for their actions, the man would have died, and they would have lost their family member at 50 years old. So good to them, and thank you for your support and having them recognized. It was a great event.
Okay, so here are some stats for the traction stuff that the traffic unit are doing from November 15th to January 11th. The traffic unit, they have come in contact with just under 14,000 vehicles. They've denied 288 vehicles from going up the canyon so far. So here's just a few photos of how they kind of have it set up. And they will continue to get called out. They were called out again Saturday. And every time it snows and they go up, this is how they're doing it and what it's looking like. So
Yeah, and these are the clear roads. I have other pictures where they're not clear, and these guys are standing out there, and it's slippery and dangerous, and that road is not wide. That is the widest part, which is, we get questions on to why they chose that particular area. And it's because it's the safest area given the roadway, and we can move cars to the side. You'll see the park and ride where we can defer cars there for, additional inspection and then keep traffic going as much as we can. And when you look at the number, 14,000 cars, that's a lot of cars. And we have had a handful of complaints, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not very many. But most of the people stop us and thank us, and they're grateful. They're not the ones calling in. So,
From what I understand, those traction days in the canyons have almost gotten completely rid of accidents. They haven't had any slip offs or anyway, the amount of issues that they normally were having are almost completely gone. Is what I was.
yeah, no, that's actually true. We did have one over the weekend, but that was a UDOT van. And so that's on them. We didn't expect, and it wasn't because of tires. It's just the roadway is what the roadway is. But yes, to your point, that we really basically eliminated that. And we've tried to work on prevention, which is our next slide.
Yes, so on Thursday, January 16th, the traffic unit held a UDOT sticker checkpoint at the Park and Ride of Big Mouth, or the Big Cottonwood Canyon. They issued 214 stickers in 4 hours. They had a 100% acceptance rate from the state with the applications. So basically that means that everybody filled out the application before they drove off, had their sticker in the window, and they were good to go. They are planning on doing another sticker checkpoint here in the next week or so because they had so many people asking about it on Saturday when they had the canyon closed. They were asking, hey, are you going to do stickers right now? Nope, we're not. We're trying to get people through. So this was a great thing, and they are going to do it again. So
Will you be announcing that,
yes, we put it on social medias. So yep,
social media?
yep, we'll do it again.
Can it also be on the homepage? I'd like to be
Yeah.
aware of that. Yeah.
Yep,
Great.
yes, we'll make sure that that happens.
Super. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I thought about the same thing. So next time they do it, I'll have Gary do a press release, Sergeant Young do a press release, so we get, more people participating. I was proud of these guys. We didn't direct them to do this. Lance Bess and his group did this on their own and decided to go up there and perform this service. So it's good for them. Yeah.
All right, and now we just have a little fun kind of fact for our detective group. Sergeant Soakai put together some stats just to kind of show what the detective division has been up to over the last few months. And he also incorporated my record staff as well in that. So overall, 174 cases has been assigned to the detective division. 132 cases have been screened. 56 of those are felonies and 76 are misdemeanors. In the records division, Jasmina has released 554 reports on 477 grandma requests. Emma has screened 139 of those cases to the 3rd District Court and the Holiday Justice Court. Emily has booked 686 items for evidence, and she also assisted in the homicide case that we have ongoing. And Erin also has processed almost 1,000 citations and 753 warnings. So we definitely have a busy little group. And then some notable cases, we did have an individual in the city, she does live here, that she was booked for armed threats, and she kept being a repeat offender, so she was booked on those charges. We also had an individual who kept calling in believing that her child was sexually assaulted. That was not the case, so that one was resolved. And then we did have an overdose. What month was that? Was that November?
It was.
Where an individual took a blowtorch and tried to smoke his meth and then torched himself on fire. And then we did have an arson case where the individual attempted to burn down the neighbor's condo. So we had some busy times going on. And then they've also, Sergeant Sokai broke it down into our victims unit, property crimes, and street crimes. And then he's gone into a few notable cases there that I will make sure you guys get this all So you can read through that as well. Okay. All right, we have our Citizens Academy coming up. So if you are interested in joining, please contact the records group. Classes start on February 26th. And it's every Wednesday evening from 6 to 9 for 10 weeks. And so it will run through April 30th. And we would love to have everybody join if you would like to. And even if you're an employee of the city, please join us. We'd like to have you, and we're excited to get this going again. And our safety message is on suicide prevention. Utah does rank 7th in the nation for suicides. So if you know someone or if you are needing help, please reach out, and there's someone always there. So we want to make sure we get that message out. Okay. And that is all I have.
All right. Thanks, Candy. Thanks,
Any
Chief.
questions?
What is isn't there a 3-digit number for suicide crisis?
988.
988. Thank you.
Jared, let's get the Citizen Academy on the social media as well. Great.
Well, you know, Johnny Carson used to say you never want to follow a child act, an animal act, or the police department, but here's Matt Ship.
I don't know, Matt. Thinking of a one-liner, I can tell.
Just glad to be here and in front of you.
Our Public Works Director, Matt Shep.
Ta-da. Let me see how, I got this. Zoom meeting, share.
This is where the tricks come in when he gets connected.
This is where things get really cool. Just hang on, I got you. Okay. Okay, the quarterly report for Public Works. If I can, am I on? I am on. Here we go. So, when you mentioned earlier, Mayor, that we'll be doing our quarterly report, I got a little bit of a shocked look on my face till I realized Ben had put most of this together for me already, which I asked him to do 2 weeks ago. So, we were prepared, and yet I was semi-prepared. So, I apologize if I had that look. I've done that once or twice. So, our quarterly report. Typically, this time of year, I would be giving you a lot of information on snow. Okay, I'm still going to give you a little information on snow. When I say little, it's going to be a little, right? We've only had to date about 12 events, and those haven't realistically really been a lot of snow. A lot of them have been ice. We've gotten called out. It's little skiffs of snow, but it's freezing in the middle of the night, so we're out salting and doing that of things of that nature. So you can see, excuse me, November, we only had like 4 events, threw out about 184 ton of salt, drove about 2,100 miles. December, same thing, about 3 events that happened and only 143. January's been our busiest at about 6. I don't know if the math worked out there, but there you go. January, we were the busiest so far, and we've thrown out about 470 tons of salt. Seems like a lot when you say it that way, but realistically, I don't have my last January's comparisons on here, but we obviously have been a lot more than that at this point in time. So it's a good and a bad thing. It's great budget saver. It's not the best when it comes to snowpack and for our drought situation, but we're keeping an eye on these things, and we still have January, February, and we have had snow in March and April. So we're
Well, and the mountains are doing better than down
mountains are
here.
doing very well, actually. So it's not the worst case scenario, but it wasn't like the year before or some of the best good ones we've had the past couple of years. So that's it on the snow. And any questions about snow so far, other than it hasn't been snowing? So
So the one thing that's changed is this is the first year that as a snow event occurs, all of your trucks have been able
Correct.
to leave because they're parked inside, they've got the salt or sand in the back of the truck, and they can all leave at once rather than lining up to get loaded. And so is there, is there?
The first round out, we're saving about an hour and a half. So we watch the weather, we keep track of it, we do, we try to predict it as best we can. Really, the weather reports the first, for 3 days. After 3 days, it kind of gets a little iffy on us. But when we see the weather report, our staff loads up their trucks and they sit in the shop dry. And I want to say warm. It's not really warm. It's about 40 degrees, but nothing's freezing. And so when they roll in, we give a call out. They come in within a half an hour and they start the trucks, grab their coffee, jump in the truck, and out the door they go. So it has improved our starting process tremendously. So that's been a good thing. But once again, it's been a kind of a light year, but we have been seeing a lot of improvement on our reaction time. Moving on, this is where I just want to show the police how impressive I am on my PowerPoints here. You've seen this as a council. We talked about these at the retreat, but just for the public's information, I'm going to give you an update really on what's happening on our projects. 1700 East, the sidewalk, for everyone's information, that's all but complete. There are some things we have to do, some minor cleanups in the spring, which will happen. And we're also going to be adding 1700 East to that for a Cape Seal. We've talked about that, the striping, fixing that and cleaning it up. And so we're working on that. It was just late in the year and we weren't able to get to it this last year. Fort Union sidewalk, which is part of this whole project as well, is complete. A couple of small portions, spring, weather turns, and so here we are. Supernal, this project, and this is kind of a picture there. You've seen this. This was a storm drain line behind a resident's home. We were losing their deck. It was creeping towards the house, so we felt obviously we had to take care of it, and we did. Worked with a neighbor, and it's been a great project so far, and they're very pleased. And we do a final walkthrough this, I believe next week we have a final walkthrough with them. And then we've had some things come up with Cypress Way on sidewalks. That's beginning this week. If you have, I don't know which district, I think it might be your district. Anyway, down along here on Cypress, we've got a big sidewalk project where we're having to take care of some heavy trip hazards. So that will be happening. Moving on, projects, more on the updates. These are more of the design and where we are. King Hill Storm Drain, that is at about 60% design. We're about to wrap it up and we're ready to get it out to bid. You'll probably be seeing something coming in at the end of February. And then it's going to push really hard to get through before May to get in the ground for spring runoff. We can meet that. But when we bring it to you, we'll be ready to go. This is another one of those emergency projects, if you will, for stormwater. We're finding them in some odd ways, and this is one of those. Stephenson neighborhood, council will be deliberating and discussing this contract tonight. This is the reconstruction of the Stephenson neighborhood, which includes Carroll Road and Pamela, those roads through there. It's an extension of where we were from Town Drive. We're just kind of working our way east as the money allows. These neighborhoods are well beyond maintenance and need the construction. We are finishing up, finalizing the intersection of Fort Union and 2300 East. We're getting ready to prepare the draft report, and we'll be bringing those things forward to you as a council to have your discussion. And we're working with planning and zoning so that we're all on the same page when it comes to that development and what's happening in there. And anxious to see how the council and who we choose or where we go with the development or the developer. We'd like to bring them in as well, so that we have all three groups on the same page. So we're finishing that up and we're finalizing it. We're kind of running through the numbers right now and then analyzing those, and we'll get that to you. Scottish Drive stormwater project. We do the study we've done and the whatnot has shown that we do have some capacity issues that are causing some flooding and some of the areas in there that we need to address, and we'll be putting that project together as well, bringing that forward to you. I'm guessing sometime in March we'll be bringing that as a construction project for a bid to have that. So that's ongoing. And then we are continuing with Danish. We've talked about this as a council in a couple of work sessions. We've done one speed report through there. We are looking at proposals, bring back to talk to you. We've said we'd bring them back to you in February to talk about some of those things. We'll be doing that. And when we do that, we'll run the demonstrations, if you will, and run the speeds and see what kind of effects these are having. So we have some before and after. So that's continuing to move forward. More of the studies, once again, this is not as exciting as chasing down bad guys, I understand, but in my world, this is very exciting. We'll be updating the storm drain master plan. We've had that discussion. This is for our existing infrastructure. Tell us what kind of shape we're in, our capacities. Right now, we're doing very micro capacity areas, but we need to expand it and finalize it now that we've uncovered those 200 buried manholes. So that will be coming for you for a contract to get that moving. The SS4A, we've had this discussion, the Safe Streets for All program. We've had this discussion with council. We're waiting on the contract from the FHWA, Federal Highways, to get our contract back to us. Once we have that, then you as a council will have that deliberation on how we want to move forward. But we've had this discussion as well, but that is ongoing. The Creek Road sidewalk, once again, same thing. It's a state TAP funds. It's more of a funding issue. That I know that you all are looking at the budget, so we've talked about that. This connection of a couple of sections of sidewalk that don't exist on Creek Road, where we want to tie those together. We received state funding for that, and it's a matter of our match on that. So, and then you have out here, we have the Highland Bangle intersection project. There's been some questions on that. We'll be bringing those things back to you. You asked us in the retreat to come back with some of the schematics so that we can have more of a discussion on the layout. So we will be doing that. I'm not looking for direction tonight, if you will, but I may ask you. I'm going to hold off on signing the contract with UDOT and the contractor until we've had that overall discussion. So I'll make that tomorrow. I'll just kind of tell them to hold off until we've had our meeting. So that's going on. And the Bangle Trail is all part of that whole project. It's the county portion, we call it, of it, and we're working on that. Then there's Highland Trail Phase 3, which we've talked about, and that's also on tonight's agenda. Ben presented this earlier this evening. It's the west side of Highland, west side of Highland, north of Fort Union, the entrance to the city. So we'll be, once again, having that discussion and moving forward from there. That is part of a track funding that is specific for this location. As a reminder, there is some budgets coming out of city coffers that we've mentioned already. Anyway, we can go.
Real quick, Matt,
Yeah.
on the storm drain master plan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think we were under agreement from the retreat that the $175,000,
Yes.
is that what you were talking
That's
about?
different.
Okay.
We're putting that together right now.
Okay.
To bring back to you. We are putting proposal out, getting bids, if you will. And once we have that, we're going to bring that back to you. You've given us a blanket number, and we're going to work within that number, which was coming out of the storm drain funds, which we have those funds in there. It wasn't programmed, but we were working on the master plan, but we'll jump in front of that with this. So yes.
Perfect.
It's on the planning list. Okay. We do have more project updates. These are outside of our jurisdiction, but for the residents' information, there's the Cottonwoods Connection, which is the pipeline replacement on Fort Union. That's been shut down for the winter, but they'll start back up again in spring and continue that. Goes down to New Tree, Nut Tree, not sure what part of the world you live in, what we want to call it, but it's on New Tree. And then there's also the big pipeline that will go down Danish and part of New Tree and through that area. We've worked out agreements. Residents have worked out agreements for them to run the pipelines in their easement, so that's going on. There's the Cottonwood Improvement District installing a pipe over through Big Cottonwood Creek And they're in the process of putting that in. If you're over in that way and you see it, just FYI, it's not interfering with, the only thing the interference now is the trail. They have portion of the trail closed because they have to go underneath the trail. But that's happening, and that's been out in our social media and our updates. We've been letting people know, and they've been putting that information in. Fort Union and Wasatch, we're very cognizant of the fact that this Wasatch and any work that happens up on Wasatch can raise some questions just based on what, the EIS and anything that's happening. They are starting this Thursday. They're going to start cleaning the 50-inch storm drain pipe, which is on the west side over by the 7-Eleven, and in that area going up that way, crossing, and they'll be flushing that line out and cleaning it. That is our storm drain line, but part of the reconstruction of Wasatch, we've created something where they will actually replace that line. They're trying to get a better idea of what's in there, and that's what the flushing will be. There will be some lane closures happening. We've asked them, and we're putting it out on our social media today and getting that information out. They wanted to start tomorrow. We said, no, we got to put you off. We got to get at least 2 days out there. So there will be a couple of lane closures, just FYI. And then there's the Bengal, Wasatch. We've talked to you about that. This is the retreat as well. They're upgrading the signals in that location, putting up the new semaphore heads where they're clear, and they're putting in striping and kind of cleaning that whole area up. There's the poles are moving, but they're like moving a couple of feet one way or another. It's not leaving that area. The lights are still there. It's part of their annual, or part of their plan to upgrade those lights. So that's going on with UDOT. So you'll see those things, a couple of things happening.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
Only because I see the diagram for Bengal and SR 210 intersection. What are they appear to be barricades or something at the corner. See at the southwest and southeast corners. What am I seeing? And then
Those are ADA ramps. They're just a drawing of an American with Disability ramp. They're changing the ramps. They're making them up to code.
Well, as we know,
They're
this
not barricades.
intersection has become a danger spot in our community based on the dog park opening there to the northeast of that intersection. And I can tell you, as a bicyclist entering and traveling through that intersection, it is a frightening experience. And I'm like the bravest bicyclist I know. Anyways, I'm curious if UDOT is, I'm glad they're doing ADA ramps. I've never seen anybody in a wheelchair try to cross that. But I am interested to know what they're doing for the safety of the residents who might either be trying to get across there with their dog or on a bicycle or scooter.
I don't believe they're doing, other than lane configuration and new lighting. I don't,
And ADA ramps.
Yeah, well, that's whenever you do a construction project at any intersection and you do any work, you're required to upgrade those ramps to the latest code. And that's why you'll see those. And if I were to go on the northwest corner, you'd see that as well. This is just a cropping I put on there to make my slide look pretty cool. So got to be honest with you. So anyway, this is, like I said, they're changing the lane configuration. They're putting a through and a right turn, and they're making a dedicated left as you come out. And then they're adjusting the lights for that, and then working on those timings.
So I'm sorry, a dedicated right-hand turn, whether you're
Yeah,
coming down
so
Honeywood Cove
Coming
or
down here, you can see a dedicated left turn now, where before that was a through and a left. Now they're putting the through right here. I don't know if my mouse is showing on there. Is it? Yeah, now they're putting a through and making that a through and a right-hand turn right here. So those are the changes, as well as the upgrading the lights.
Okay, well, I want to continue to urge our city council to be and you as our public works director to be as vociferous as we can be about more preventive measures taken by UDOT on behalf of the residents and people that travel through our area. These intersections are dangerous, that they're still fast moving, and so I think there's much more to be done for safety on SR 210 Wasatch Boulevard.
Whenever projects come up, we do have those discussions. They are limited by their projects, and their project is to upgrade these signals. That's what the project is. It's not, they didn't talk about any crossings, changing anything in the road itself, just the signals. Okay? And that will be it. So that's kind of an update of where we are. A lot going on behind the scenes that's happening, but we're here to answer any questions if you might have any right now. Glad to answer them.
I think we're good. Thank you,
Good?
Matt. Appreciate it.
You sure?
That wasn't too hard.
I'm here.
Yeah. We might start giving grades. Was police better or was public works better?
Can you hold up signs? I want the sign. The old gymnastic sign. 10, 9.
Yeah. Okay, we are going to move on to item number 7, which is 4 legislative action items for the council to consider. We're going to begin with item 7.1, consideration of resolution 2025-02, approving agreement with Governance Sciences Group, Inc., DBA Flash Vote for public input polling.
I would like to move to continue this item for up to 2 additional council meetings. That would be either February 4th or February 18th, to give an opportunity in a work session to have a demo to the rest of the council members by flash vote, so that we really know what we're getting for the dollars that we would expend.
I'll second that.
Can I also clarify which meeting?
Yeah, we probably need a specific meeting or it'll be on both agendas. So
Okay. So
18th.
should I call it the 18th to give time? Okay, so then I would ask to continue this resolution until February 18.
voice vote.
Voice vote. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We'll move on to item 7.2, consideration of resolution 2025-03, approving agreement with H.W. Lochner for design services.
Well, I'm going to be the squeaky wheel again and ask that we continue this until the next meeting, February 4. I had a chance to visit with Matt Ship earlier today. We were in an emergency management meeting together that was very brief, and so we had a chance to visit, and he said that he would be okay with us pushing this forward for a couple weeks so that the council can have an opportunity to see the maps and ask some more questions. Even though I drove this week, that area, that frontage road, the confusion for me is really what's going to happen between the end of that frontage road and Fort Union. And I would like some time to have a little bit more clarification about what we're approving.
And I would like it preferably to be in some sort of a diagram. I understand that it's not about road widening, that it's about improving the trail, but some kind of little illustration I think would be helpful.
Yeah, it's design of the trail, right? Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, that's correct. What we don't have anything right now. That's the issue. The point. The part of this is the firm we would bring in, and we would work with them in developing that. The only thing realistically I can give you right now is point A to point B. And I don't have anything in between right now, other than a concept of we want to, like we said, improve aesthetics, a better trail, open trail system, crossing a couple of intersections, and then identification of property. So really that's what's in there. I think what putting this off is more so if when you can talk, we can email, talk, or however you want to do this, bringing this back and having that kind of some things maybe you want to see as we develop maybe a different scope, if you will, which is fine. I just don't have anything to bring to show other than just a line on paper, to be honest with you, if that makes sense. So if the 5th is the next meeting, correct? Fourth. Okay, the 4th. Is that the one you talked about? Is that correct? I perhaps, if I may suggest, we move it to the second meeting in February, and then if there's room on the 4th, we have the discussion in a work session so that then we can go from there. I mean, because between now and then, we're not going to be together to have that. Does that make sense, what I'm?
It does. I think it would even give me a chance to maybe even go, as Councilmember Burrell has suggested, that maybe a couple of us walk that area, look a little bit more closely about, really what we're trying to do and what we might want to ask for. I'd
So
feel more comfortable with that.
Right, so in the meeting on the 4th, we can have a work session, Mayor, where we can kind of discuss your ideas, and then if we need to adjust the scope of what we have out now, then we can do that and bring it back to you in the second meeting in February for approval.
Perfect.
Does that work?
So that I need to amend my motion, and I would like to motion that we continue this resolution 2025-03 until February 18. Is that right?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Item 7.3, consideration of resolution 2025-04, approving the First Amendment to an agreement with CMT Technical Services, Inc. for engineering design services. We had the opportunity to discuss this earlier in our work session. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-03, approving agreement with HW Lochner, approving the First Amendment to an agreement with CMT Technical Services, Inc. for engineering design services.
Can I redeem myself and make that motion for approving resolution 2025-04 for the CMT Technical Services Agreement?
Yes, you may.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Highland and a second from Councilmember Burrell. Final questions, comments? Call for the vote. Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Highland.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Okay, the last action item, 7.4, consideration of resolution 2025-05, approving and ratifying the appointment of a city recorder. We also discussed this item earlier in our work session. Final questions or comments? And then I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-05, approving and ratifying the appointment of a city recorder.
I am delighted to motion that we approve and ratify Resolution 2025-05, and I commend Tiffany Jansen, and I'm delighted to see her entering into this position.
Second.
A motion to approve from Councilmember Burrell and a second from Councilmember Newell. Final comments? Call for the vote. Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Highland.
Yes.
Councilmember Newell.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Okay, we do not have a consent calendar to approve this evening, so at this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn our business.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.